Hey, nerds, and welcome to Nerds with Dice. Again, hope you enjoyed the pre recorded interview. And of course, if uh, you're just coming in at the end and you wanted to catch that interview, you will have another chance to catch that live on stream on Sunday at 8 a.m., which may or may not be more reasonable for people. Hi, I am Sophia. I am one of your hosts for today, and one of the chancellors here at Nerds with Dice, as well as the founder. And I am on the wrong overlay. Wow, I'm gonna fix that out. Will you introduce yourself?
Switch stuff. Me? Is it me? I'm gonna be
Yes.
the person that gonna cover this. Okay. Hey everyone. I'm Kat. I'm known as the Law Mistress on the internet. I'm very excited to be here. Oh, I see. I see the problem. I am not Leanna Mackenzie, as it says down below. um, yeah, that's better. Hey, I'm very excited to be here. Excited to be raising money for charity. And honoured to have been asked to be interviewed. Yeah, my pronouns are she, they. And I am a writer, game designer, an actual play performer, and GM in the tabletop community. That's the shortened. I've got to get better at that. I normally just ramble on, and then I'm just like, I'm speaking too much now.
Yeah. So the big thing I wanted to talk to you about is game design, and you work with Hatched Games.
hmm
Um, what is that like? You make signs, horror signs specifically? Is it all horror signs or just signs in general?
Yeah, so Hatched Games is quite like a new project for us. I so Rich, who I kind of run it with, set up Hatchling Games first, which you might have heard of. It's like they create like very family friendly games. Their biggest one, Inspirals, the Inspirals trilogy, is used to teach people sign language, which is really really cool. Um, and I've done some kind of like writing work for Hatchling Games. So that's how we kind of connected. But we also have connected over, even though Rich loves creating sort of like family friendly games, we both really love horror. It's like one of our favorite genres to kind of write in um, and work in. And Rich has been playing for a while with the idea of maybe creating a slightly more like grown up uh, sort of company or publications. Um, so we created first uh, our first project that we have crowdfunded, and that was back in kind of March time for Pocketopia. Um, was for these set of zines. We both love solo journaling games. We both love horror, and we wanted to create some zines uh, show off solo journaling games a lot better, but also to um, like show off other people's systems, because we don't really get that. Systems don't get a lot of love, I feel, in the tabletop role-playing game community, so especially solo systems. So we kind of built this set of zines around the Carter system, by Peach Garden Games. Incredible system, kind of plays a little bit like a board game, um, and yeah, it kind of just built from there, really. But yeah, zines at the moment, with potential expansion in the future into something a bit more than zines. I'm gonna just check on
That is cool.
that. Yep.
Um, I
I'm
I
just checking on
do.
my captions because I think my captions are not picking up. Is that any better?
Uh, Still not showing up. I
I am in
wonder.
Chrome.
I wonder if it's Chrome's microphone settings. Maybe sometimes
It's
Chrome likes
asking
to
me if
grab.
I have microphone permissions, and now I've clicked yes. I've clicked allow it. So that's a bit strange. Okay, let me try. So sorry, everyone.
Some tech gremlins. They show up every so often. I am seeing you now.
That should be
There.
better now.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
Lovely. Love some tech gremlins.
All right, yeah. So say yeah. So here at Nintendo Dice, we're trying to find ways to encourage people to play more games. That's sort of what we do. So we just
Mhm.
started a couple months ago our solo journaling club. To
Ooh.
once a month we vote on. I pick a selection of games. We vote on what everyone's gonna play. We have a little channel for everybody to discuss, post their results, whatever they want to do. Um, Still, it's still building, but I'm excited to do it, and so it's very cool to see um, more solo stuff, especially horror stuff, because that's the stuff I love. um,
Mhm.
so why the Carta system?
I think it's just like so. I know that Rich had worked with the Carter system before for a couple of games for Hatchlings. It was a system that I really enjoyed playing. When I for my Twitch channel, I've been doing like a stream series, where I was trying to spotlight more solo games. Um, it was just a kind of like come chill out, hang with me, and play a solo game with me type vibe. And I played Hatchling's Dragon Dowser, and I really liked the system because the Carter system it kind of uh, represents a journey almost. It's quite physical. You have like a deck of cards. You wrote. You kind of set them out in a sort of grid of 6 by 4, and then you move a playing piece along that deck and create kind of your own journey along it. And you flip each card that you land on, and that provides your prompt or prompts for the day, and then that's what allows you to kind of build your story and build your journaling um, session. So I really liked this like quite eclectic mix of like it reminded me of board games that I've played, like Betrayal of House on the Hill. Um, that's kind of one of the references that was cited for it. Um, and it because you didn't know what you were gonna like flip over until you've done it, obviously. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of like a very physical journey, and I think actually like it's not one that necessarily immediately springs to mind for horror. I think people think of like Wretched and Alone, for example. If you're very into your solo journaling games, Wretched and Alone is a great um, solo journaling system, which doesn't normally end well for the player, and so lends itself very well to kind of horrifying or tragic stories. Um, but we kind of wanted to experiment, I guess. We wanted to take this, take the idea of a journey and just kind of understand how that could be represented in horror. So the game that I'm writing, for example, Tan Fei, it is based on some of the more sinister ideology around the Tooth Fairy. Um, and I'm kind of combining like when you play Carter, you have like resources. So in this case, the resources that you have are your teeth, and every night you flip a coin and you might have to give some of those resources away. So during the day, you then use the Carter system to kind of move around and prompt your day, um, figuring out how to defeat this creature that is coming to take some of your teeth every night. So it's been a really interesting system to work with, and we have some incredible stretch goal writers that were unlocked during our crowdfunding that have also been writing their own game. We've spoken to all of them. Everyone has come up with like a slight twist. So there's the main Carter system, and then like their own like additional mechanic or point of interest in the game, which has been really really fun to kind of experiment with and talk about. So yeah, I guess that's why we started with that one. But we're very open to, we plan to kind of create seasons, and try and focus on like a new system or a new kind of genre of horror, because this one is very folk horror at the moment, for each season. So yeah, we're very excited about that.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So I guess that is what I was going. What is going to ask next is what is Gast? Is there is there a theme to the games, and what's
A theme of folk horror, if you will. Gast itself is our attempt at building a sort of in-universe, um, kind of like, I guess, comparably, you might think of like the Magnus Archives, or maybe the Silt Verses, or if you're going a bit wider, maybe like the Marvel universe, of just like lots of different stories that are set in the same universe, in the same like version um of Earth, I guess, but it's a sort of series of like anomalies. Ghasts are anomalies, so they're like these strange happenings that are taking place all around, be it an entity, or a strange object, or just some kind of like strange environmental effect. Um, Something that is happening that is in touch with a different realm, or a sort of slightly more horrifying place, sinister place, something that is a little bit like alien to us, I suppose. Um, we want to explore different genres of horror with that. Um, and we chose folk horror just because Rich and I really love folk horror. Um, but like in the future, we've discussed kind of like a more sort of gothic horror, or lots of people really love cosmic horror. I think for a kind of like in universe idea, cosmic horror definitely has a place there, of creating some really wild stories. But we had this idea because we thought like solo journaling games are so very like, they bring out so many different stories. Everyone uses like the same system, but can create like a wildly different story to someone else. Um, and I just liked the idea of just like, if I was like an agent or an organization that was like sent to track these strange anomalies, of just collecting all of these stories as like evidence, I suppose, that this thing or this creature exists. A bit like the SCP Foundation. I don't know if that's something you're familiar with, but it's like a and it's same thing. It's like a kind of like a big built community of people that have basically created a compilation of short horror stories, but they're categorized as these like entities, or things that are being tracked by an organization. Um, so that was kind of along the lines of where we went, or where we bought Gast from.
that is awesome. And yeah, I mean, I know, I like folk horror as well. Cosmic horror can be fun, but I like the sort of primal horror of like where you're like kind of talking almost the same scale as cosmic horror, but it's more grounded in our planet and stuff. I really like that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. So folk horror is really cool to me. Um, what what was your favorite aspect of making Gast?
Ah, oh, well, so it was my first crowdfunder that I had been like a huge part of. Oh, hello, my kitten is just causing chaos behind me. Um, it was my first time taking part in and like being really so actively involved in crowdfunding before, and I felt like I learned a lot from that. So actually, weirdly, maybe not the more creative side of it. You know, you'd think it would be, but kind of learning a lot about kind of marketing and how crowdfunding works and um, like the differences between Kickstarter and Backer Kit and all of these things. Those things were really interesting, really quite interesting to me. I'd never like got on board. I really enjoy kind of learning new skills. So to kind of be a bigger part of that process was really really fun for me.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is certainly something that it sounds intimidating. Kickstarter, Backer Kick, and Backer Kit, and all of that. It really does sound intimidating to me as just a sort of a layperson to game design. Um, what would you say your design principles
Repeat that again for me.
are? What would you say your game design principles are?
Ooh. Uh, do you know, I just, for me, I guess like I tend to just make games that I like to make games that I guess have like a piece of me in them, which I'm sure that a lot of game designers would say, but just things that I just told you that I'm designing a game about a killer tooth fairy, and now I'm telling you it's got a piece of me in it. I need you to not take this take those things too seriously. But I guess it's just when you create a game, um, I think I come at it from the perspective of like I have some really perhaps when I was growing up, a lot of my interests were quite niche and unique, and I didn't feel like maybe that they related well to everyone. But I have found since kind of like designing and writing that actually lots of people might need or want to kind of relate to the kind of games that I like to write. Um, like the ones that kind of really heavily fire up the imagination, maybe are rooted in, like for me, folklore and fairy tales are a really big special interest of mine. um, and so I come at it from the perspective of like, what would if I was younger, what would excite me to play in a game? Like what would I want to see? Or even now, I say when I was younger, but I don't know. Even though I'm an adult technically, that I feel like my brain has really grown up all that much in terms of its love of storytelling. So when I create games or when I write anything, I always try to come at it from the perspective of like not necessarily trying to appeal to mass market or be like what would everyone like to play, but just be like what would people that are interested in the things that I like to play, what would excite me. And I'm always a bit shocked but also very happy to see that like those things people are like, oh yeah, I really dig that, and then I'm like, oh, 14-year-old me would really love to hear that she's not weird and not alone liking these kind of things. um so yeah, I guess that's where my perspective is. I mean, I'm quite new to game design as a whole. I approach it from the maybe it's because I'm predominantly a writer or I've come at it from predominantly a writing perspective, but I approach it as story and kind of like game vibes and themes first, and then mechanics later. There are probably many that approach it the other way around, which is equally as valid, I think. But that's just kind of the way that I look at it. I want to kind of create mechanics that warm to the story and the vision that I had in mind, rather than trying to do it the other way around.
To kind of play off of that question, what does game design mean to you then?
Uh, well, I think game design for me is a place to play, and kind of unleash some of that creativity. Um, and I guess it allows me to kind of make or it allows me to feel like I'm putting something out into the world. That you know, I'm not a good artist. I would say that I'm decent enough at writing. But it gives me like a I find when I compare it to writing, actually, I like the sort of higher amount of creative control that I have over it, that you can create something so unique. Like if you think about the huge amount of indie like tabletop role playing games, there just are, just sitting on the internet, or like just sitting even in like physical bookshops, waiting to be sold. um and that's just really exciting to me, just that so many people can have so many different ideas and put them into games and create like um something that will allow people to role play and have another experience for a little while. Um, and when I think, I guess, a bit more deeply, I like that it gives people the chance to play make believe for a little bit. I like that it gives people the chance to uh, express parts of themselves that perhaps are difficult to express in the real world, shall we say. Um, and yeah, I just also, I'm a theatre kid. I grew up a theatre kid, and role-playing games definitely speak to that side of me, just because they allow you to be a writer, director, and the cast all in one. So that's always interesting to me. Um, but yeah, I think for me the biggest thing is just the chance to feel like I'm a child again, and just kind of play a game of all the things that I used to imagine when I would read books and things when I was a kid, and be able to actually be that for a bit. That's what game design and that allows me to do, and allows me to help others to do if they like my game and want to play it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that is super great. So I have my next question, and of course,
Mhm.
you can you don't have to answer it if you don't like it. But do you feel that Crinus affects your game design, and how do you feel it affects it?
Um, yeah, I definitely think it does. I think it's hello, sorry. Yeah, I think it's for me like, I mean, I think a lot of people that I know that are in game design are, maybe it's just the crowd I hang around with, but there is a lot of queer people in game design, in the tabletop role playing scene. There's a lot of neurospicy, neurodivergent people in that scene, and I feel like that's for a reason. I think that there's just something about role-playing games um, that tickles that part of us in a good way. Um, Allows us to feel like we can express ourselves, I think, and also allows us to feel like we have some semblance of, yes, I know, some semblance of sort of like community, some kind of feeling of where we might have felt isolated in certain parts of ourselves in the past. Certainly, that's an experience that I feel. Um, I mean, I didn't grow up being massively in touch with my queerness, I would say. Um, Not until I came out of my childhood and teenage years. Um, and I only really started being kind of in the tabletop role. I mean, I only started playing tabletop role playing games like a lot of people when they talk to me they think I've been playing them for my whole life. I haven't. I have actually only less than a decade. I would say probably just over 5 years. I'm very very new, very green in the tabletop space really. But I have never felt anything more than kind of like welcome. I feel like still people want to hear my sometimes very not well formed opinions about them, despite the fact that I'm quite new to it, and like that to me is very special because I think that when I grew up um feeling a lot of the time like the things that I had to say or the things that I were feeling um uh maybe weren't so important or maybe were a bit different or a bit weird or people might not appreciate and respect them. um so and I think that I mean the people that I've spoken to that kind of connect with this stuff, it's this is kind of some experiences that I'm hearing that I connect with them over. So I feel like it's not intrinsic. There are plenty of straight people or things that enjoy tabletop playing games for a whole different reason. But I think for me and for maybe a lot of queer people, that kind of sense of found family is a predominant theme in a lot of games. If we're talking about horror, the ability to practice some horrifying things in a safe space, a safe environment, but to kind of, I guess, not that I would ever say that tabletop role playing games are a substitute for therapy, but um, I can see that there is some value in being able to feel like you can safely explore some certain feelings or certain ideas um, without it having to be a real part of your experience. Um, yeah, I think that's where I probably sit on it. I like have loved getting to know since I have been in this place in this space so much more of myself than I feel like I ever knew before I got into this space. So that for me is very special, and I feel like maybe a lot of queer people and neurodivergent people and things probably feel similarly or the same. I think that's it.
Yeah, it's so interesting to hear that we have a pretty similar experience of, um, I mean, I think it's like 8 years now, but before that, I didn't really play tabletop role playing games at all. Like
Hmm.
the second game I GM'd was on stream, in a system I'd never played before, um, and yeah, a lot of the same stuff I've felt largely really accepted here.
Hmm.
Been, I've been on more than a few channels now. It's been a great place to, when I was first coming out. Um, figure out pronouns and who I am and all of that stuff. And it's, still evolving for me in a lot of ways, but it I love being able to give a character different pronouns and like see how that even just feels for myself, not just for the character and stuff, and then kind of just go, well, I'm happy with what I got. We're gonna go,
Mm-hmm.
back to it, and there's certainly something there for that.
100%. I mean, yeah, I had the same. So when I first, I guess, like got into this space, I went by she, her, and it was definitely like while I was in this space that I kind of began to really understand more of myself and why they felt better for me. Um, I feel like I'm learning a lot about queerness that I didn't know, like my kind of upbringing, the people that I'm surrounded by, like just there's just I feel like I'm in a place where I can be more educated about things that perhaps like I just didn't really have the exposure to. Um and um she's just made off with a food packet. And um yeah, I can definitely I just like it's a really for me it's a really important thing to actually think about, really. Like I just the kind of like the level of acceptance, the level of like being able to experiment, like I said, and in a safe place. Equally, I think it's really important to stress that I do also feel like we're not there yet. Like I still feel like I am invited to and have played um, at a lot of like all white male tables. I'm still sometimes made to feel like the token woman. I'm still or the token queer. And like I'm sure there are a lot of like um, that people in the kind of in the BIPOC community that really feel this, um, especially especially if they sit on that intersection of kind of like being BIPOC but also queer, and also a woman. Um, like I as much as I see a lot of improvement in this space. I feel like this is the best that I've ever had it in terms of being able to feel like there's more of me and more people that represent kind of like my experiences and my stories. I do also think that there's always room to continue to let that grow, um, and to see more of that.
Right. Yeah. 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 Definitely. There is still um, a lot of growth um, that we can see. But I mean, just in the time that I've been playing, I have also seen a lot of that growth happen. In the community and stuff.
Hmm.
um, which is exciting to see. And yeah, unfortunately, some of it isn't as fast as we'd like it to be, but it's exciting to see that it's there. Let's see.
Just to let you know, I think that the captions are picking up something else, a different.
Yeah, I think it's the next game. I'm trying to let them know that they're
Ah,
being
okay,
picked
okay.
up. um,
Okay, no worries.
so let's see. If you had a dream project to work on, uh,
Ooh.
what would that be?
Oh my goodness. Do you know that's a question that I've never been asked and I'm entirely unprepared for. Um, I don't know. I like I said, folklore, fairy tales, very much my jam. I'm incredibly fond of like a sort of a strange combination, but like a sort of like whimsical horror. So um, I really enjoy like spooky fae shenanigans. For example, I I'd love to say that I have like a particular IP in mind or something, but I really don't. Like I just the projects that I've kind of been involved with, I have already had good elements of like my dream project, and I think that I'm just not. I'm desperately looking around me like, come on, there's got to be something that I really would love. There is, but I don't think that I've like fully really defined it in my mind as to what a dream project would look like. Just because I'm so new to this, I'm like, I guess like stories that I enjoyed reading as a child are always great. Um, and something it would have to be something I think that kind of had that very unique blend of fairy tales and folklore, probably some horror in it, or some at least some very sinister, uh, perhaps slightly melancholy vibes, um, mixing up like possibly like Victorian ghost stories and creepy Feywild shenanigans. That's like, which I don't even know what that looks like. As I'm saying it to you, I'm like, that sounds like way too an eclectic mix even for me. But just like those are the kind of stories that I just really, really dig. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, dream project is such a
I was so utterly unprepared for that question. I was like, damn, the dream project. I like literally never even thought of what my dream project would look like. Um,
yeah. It is a hard question, I think, but it's one of those questions that I was like, it seems like a good question to ask people. Maybe people have an
mhm.
answer or not, but I know. I think if you would have asked me 3 or 4 years ago what my dream project is, it is not the same as the what I would say it is today. Let's see. So you do other work um, in the community. Um, you talked about solo spotlight. Um,
Mhm.
A little bit. So let's circle back to that and talk a little bit more about that and how it got started and what it is, what it looks like.
So I guess so I started getting into streaming and sort of actual play. While I've been kind of in this space, I've really enjoyed trying to like, I guess, stick my fingers in as many pies as possible and try and learn new skills and things like that. So, plus I have ADHD, so I enjoy like kind of like just suddenly hyper focusing on a new project for a bit, and I kind of got into I started streaming with a channel called Girls Run These Worlds. Um, and yep, I can see you know them. And yeah, so I was a GM for them for a little bit, and that helped me to find my feet. I really enjoyed it. I started kind of guest GMing on other channels, or playing on other channels, and then as time went on, I was like, I'll make my own channel and do my own thing. And the thing that I really wanted to spotlight, I found, was for a few different reasons, some practical and some very creative. I enjoyed solo journaling because I find it a really interesting writing exercise. It's just a really good way to just sit and write for a bit. Um, even if it's not writing a current project that you're working on, it's just writing something else for a bit, writing as a different character, writing a different story, and it kind of sets the cogs turning in those aspects. Also, solo journaling, incredibly easy to organize because you do not have to worry about anyone else's schedule. You just pop on the camera and you're just like, hey, I'm playing a solo journaling game today. Let's go. So that I found that kind of ease of being able to kind of do that was really nice. Um, and at the time, I didn't really see that like solo journaling games or solo games, I should say. No, it doesn't even have to be journaling. Were getting huge amounts of love or attention compared to sort of like GM'd and GM-less games. Um, I felt like they were a little neglected, and there was loads of them. There's so many of them out there, but I wanted to try to create that. That's where the idea came from for the solo spotlight. I just wanted to create a space where because I think that sometimes people can also find maybe solo journaling games to be a little oddly intimidating. Like if you're playing by yourself and you don't have others to explain the rules to you, that then there's that kind of like weird self-doubt that creeps in of like, am I playing this correctly? Am I doing this right? You're writing something and then you're like, am I writing well? So the art, I never went into it with the intent of it being like an incredibly edited experience. It was always supposed to be a very relaxed, like, let's have a little flip through of this game, and maybe try and write a little bit. I might not finish the story today. Um, so it was a kind of like playing stream, but also like a just sort of like write and chill with me stream scenario. I haven't done any solo streams for a little while. I think honestly now my goal, because I love them so much and I see them getting a little bit more love in the space now. I've seen like more podcasts and actual plays that kind of focus a little bit more on them, which is really cool to see. That makes me so happy. And honestly, every single time I'm scrolling through Blue Sky and someone's like, "Hey, can anyone recommend me a good solo?" Like I turn into like a feral little goblin. Honestly, I just sit and I'm like, I have so many, I have so many recommendations for you. Um, so I think now, like, I would really love to upgrade my solo spotlight streams, and maybe, and I might be working on something that might allow me to do this, but I can't give too much away right now. That will allow me to kind of give a little bit more attention to those stories, maybe with some better like sound design, and a more edited approach, for example, and just to really kind of show off the kind of cool stories that you can tell with a solo journaling game.
Yeah, that is it is a commendable effort for sure. I think it is because streaming them, like playing them, can be intimidating, or just sometimes it's taking the time for like, oh, I'm just gonna sit down and I'm gonna do this fun little thing for
Mhm.
myself. As you become an adult, it becomes a harder thing to do somehow.
Yeah.
I notice it mostly with reading. Like I still read, but it's
Yes.
mostly it's like audiobooks, right? I really listen to audiobooks because then I can do other things while I do it. But as soon as I
Mhm.
sit down and open the book, my mind wanders in a different way than it did as a kid. Because like, but I should be doing these other things, and I should be, and I'm
Mhm.
not focusing on the book. And I think it's kind of the same way sometimes with solo journaling. But
Mhm.
streaming them and doing actual plays for them, I think is you're holding the whole thing up on your own, and that can be certainly intimidating from a content creator's sort of perspective. But for people who aren't familiar with like solo games and even two-player games, they're really really popular on the game design side. If you go on itch, you can
Mhm.
turn around and find 50 of them.
There's so many. There's so many on itch, and there's so many really good ones. Like I have, and I feel like a lot of people in this space have this, like a ridiculous amount of downloaded games that you then have to sort of sit and categorize. I think lots of people that I've spoken to are all just like, oh yeah, let me just sort of search on through my Google Drive of Doom and see if I can find this particular game or whatever, because it's just there's just so many games. But yeah, I just think like they are very popular for game designers. Like coming into game design myself, it's not just because I enjoy playing them that I like writing solo journaling games. I find it easier actually to write a more reflective experience rather than an experience that's embedded in sort of like group play. That it's just easier because I think I've played a fair few of them. Um, I found that streaming them also helped to kind of almost like I have exactly the same issue that you have with time management and finding time to sit and read or time to sit and just like write for a little bit. So it helped to keep me a little bit accountable, like a bit like co-working streams. When people do co-working streams, I've done a couple of those before. It's just that kind of like I'm taking some time for myself to do this, and but I'm going to put it behind the idea of content so that I can trick my brain into thinking I'm doing something productive, um, or at least productive in the way that my brain thinks of productive. Um, Also, I just wanted it to be something that was a bit more accessible to people, I think. Like, it can be intimidating to sit and open a game and try and work out the rules and stuff, especially if your brain is like, "Well, how do you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that." So I was a bit like, well, if I'm just playing and people can just then see, they can see for themselves, it's just very easy thing to kind of pick up and put down as they wish and please, and uh it won't feel quite so difficult to do so, hopefully, maybe. um but yeah, log on to itch, everyone, and just literally tag into physical games to get all of the tabletop role playing games, and then just put the tag solo. You're just going to be scrolling for days. There's so many. And duet games need more like attention. They're so good. I really enjoy duet games as well.
Yeah, so that is sort of what for two projects that are going to be coming up. One we talked about earlier, Solar Journey Club, which is has slowly starting, and we're calling it community theater, right? It's
Mm,
we've got all of these games off of itch and stuff. I was talking to people familiar with Nerds with Dice will know Vivi. We were having a conversation, and it's like we have so many games, and they deserve attention because we got bundles and all of these things, that from itch and all of these games.
yeah.
I started cataloging them for this thing, and I got to get back to finishing that. The this took priority, but at last count, without counting solo or two-player games, I was at like 250 games.
Oh my goodness.
So
It's wild, isn't it?
yeah, and that wasn't even. I think I was like halfway through some of the bundles that I had. So that's not even the games that I just bought on my own. That's just like three or four bundles worth of games. And so community theater is going to be, here's a theme. We picked some games based on that theme, and you got 6 sessions in this season. You're the group for this. You spin a random game, and that is the game you play
Oh, I love
in
that.
each stream. And then hopefully we get some of these kind of cool and fun and quirky games out there. And we are going to figure out how to, or not figure out how to, but do a two-player um, season as well. So it's all going to be really fun. And yeah, no, I have way too many games even before I started getting on itch, and it's it's a in a way it's a good problem to have, but every year there's new games. It's like, oh, but now I want to play these ones, and I still haven't played some of the ones I already have. Um,
Yeah, it's like it is a good problem, but it's still a problem. It's an organizational nightmare. And this is the thing, like I think that's a really cool idea. Like just be like, let's spin a wheel. Okay, we're playing this. Because I think part of it as well is like it can be intimidating if you have so many games to sit and try to go through them and be like, well, which one do I play? And then you've got too many to choose from. There's just too much choice. Even if you can narrow them down by theme. I also started trying to catalog my games recently. Other things have also taken precedence. But I started and I just like I got like so far into it and I was like, I am not even close to 10% of the way through this, and this is just wild. This is too much. I have so many games just sitting here and I haven't played like I did a little column. Well, I had to delete this column because I just felt too inadequate. I did a little column of like have I played this, and like none of them were getting ticked, and I was like, whew. Okay, so I had to delete that column just to make myself feel a bit better.
yeah, that is certainly fair. Um, we are
Mhm,
getting close to wrapping up here. So,
mhm.
one last question, sort of a question. Would you mind sharing a moment of queer joy with everyone?
Ooh, a moment of queer joy. Um, like I said, like I very recently not very recently, but I'm still kind of like settling into my she they pronouns. And I I recently went to a Games Expo, the UK Games Expo. Um, and I was at the convention and I was kind of talking to people that like I've never really spoken to. I'm not fantastic at networking. It's a skill that I'm working on. But it was kind of like the first time that I've been to a few of these cons, but this was definitely the first year that I felt a little bit like less of an imposter in this space, which was really, really nice. And people that were coming up to me that were like wanting to chat to me or whatever, they were like asking my pronouns, which I'm just very like not used to. I'm used to like being on stream and everyone saying, okay, I use these pronouns and everything like that, and then we kind of move on. But like people just asking me my pronouns, and then like just using them and I had a really just like really nice moment of just like when being referred to as they by like total strangers that don't really know me, and just how like accepting of that they were, and I was like, oh, that's really lovely. So it's a very small thing maybe, but it was a really weirdly big deal to me. Like I know that like people, people that I'm close with, they know my pronouns and they will use they and she interchangeably, and that's fine. But it's just something hits a bit different, I think, when strangers or people that you don't know well just kind of do it without any fuss. Um, that's just really nice. So yeah, that's my little moment of queer joy.
That is wonderful. I will share as well, and in an effort not to use the same ones, I will also say, I'm still figuring out um, what we as a pronoun means for me. It's still. I mean, it's maybe been about a year since I even figured out um, that it's a pronoun that I get euphoria from. And there's still a lot that I haven't thought about or processed in terms of that. And I did have um, a really great conversation with someone people may be familiar with on the channel, Chanel Lees, about like what we means to me and stuff. And that was just, it was really great to actually like have a conversation about like what it means, what um, is it a very phonetic thing, or do the sort of adjacent words and cinnamons to we work as well, like our and stuff, and they do, but they don't hit the same as we. So but it's a really good conversation to have, and it's I was I left it feeling really good about it, and
Mhm.
so real quick, you want to tell people where they can find you, and we will head on out.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, hey everyone, I've been Kat, or Kat the Law Mistress, as some people might know me on the internet. I can be found mainly on Blue Sky. Now I am no longer on the Hell site, that I will never ever call X. But yeah, you can find me at Law Mistress 93. It's spelled Lore, not LAW, because I have had people model that up. And you can also find me on Twitch and YouTube. But if you head on over to my Blue Sky, there'll be a link tree. It has all of my links and everything like that. But yeah.
Awesome, thank you so much. And we have Bewitched next, which is a game of Bewitched by Lynn Meyer, and so stick around for that. And
Mhm.
that crew will see you in a little bit. Thank you so much, everyone.